It is a study of a modern myth that spread like a virus, and the terrifyingly consistent encounters that give it the weight of truth. Our investigation begins not in a dusty, forgotten manuscript, but in a plain text email. The year is 1998. The location is an early internet mailing list dedicated to stories of the paranormal. A journalist from Texas named Brian Brethel posts a detailed, sober account of a strange encounter he had 2 years prior. It is a quiet, unassuming post, a single piece of anecdotal data cast into the nascent digital void. But this post would become the index case, the patient zero for a phenomenon that would become one of the first and most enduring legends of the Internet era. Bethel's account is simple and chillingly plausible. He is in his car, parked in front of a movie theater, when 2 young boys approach his window. They are no older than 10 or 12. They ask him for a ride home, claiming they have forgotten their money and need to get back to their mother's house to retrieve it. Bethel is initially sympathetic, but a profound and inexplicable sense of fear begins to wash over him. Something is deeply wrong. He hesitates. The boys become more insistent, their polite requests taking on a demanding, almost hypnotic quality. And then he notices their eyes. They are completely, utterly black. There is no iris, no sclera, no pupil, just 2 solid, soulless black orbs, like the eyes of a shark. In a panic, Bethel drives away, leaving the boys standing in the parking lot. His post was not a ghost story. It was a field report, and it was the first of many.
As Bethel's story began to circulate through the early web forums and message boards, a chilling pattern emerged. Other people from all over North America began to share their own unnervingly similar experiences. From these disparate accounts, a clear and consistent anatomy of the encounter can be compiled. The subjects are almost always children, typically between the ages of 6 and 16. They often appear in pairs. Their clothing is either nondescript or strangely anachronistic, like something from another era. Their speech is a key anomaly. It is described as monotone, articulate, and strangely formal, lacking the slang and cadence of a normal child. They will approach a person in a liminal space, a parked car, a quiet doorstep, or a lonely stretch of road. The request is always the same. They need to be let in. The reason is always plausible, almost mundane. We need to use your phone to call our parents. Our mother is waiting for us. Can you give us a ride home? We are just 2 kids. You can let us in. The interaction is designed to disarm, to appeal to a basic sense of social responsibility. But the most crucial unifying element of the encounter, the detail that brands itself upon the witness's psyche, is only revealed when the witness hesitates. It is then that they see the eyes. 2 solid, soulless black orbs, utterly devoid of sclera,
iris, or pupil. The true horror of this phenomenon lies not in any physical violence, but in the profound psychological warfare it wages upon its target. The core of the encounter is the rule of invitation. The children, for all their unnerving persistence, appear to be bound by a specific, almost traditional protocol. They cannot enter unless they are explicitly invited. This single fact elevates them from strange children to a class of entity with a defined, almost mythological set of rules.
This creates an intense internal conflict within the witness. On one hand, there is the powerful weight of social conditioning. Society teaches us to trust and to help children in need. To refuse them is a violation of a deep-seated social contract. On the other hand, the presence of these children triggers an immediate and overwhelming sense of primal dread. Witnesses consistently report a sudden, inexplicable wave of terror, a flight-or-fight response that screams predator long before their conscious mind can process why. The victim is trapped between their rational, conditioned mind telling them to be helpful and their animal instinct telling them they're facing an existential threat. The children's calm, insistent pressure is a tool to wear down the victim's resolve until instinct gives way to politeness, a fatal mistake that would grant them the permission they require. As the legend proliferated online, the archive of anecdotal evidence grew. The pattern, once established, began to repeat itself in suburban settings across the country, each new account reinforcing the established law. One case file, compiled from a home security forum post in 2002, comes from a woman in rural Ohio. An alert from a motion-activated doorbell camera woke her late one night. On her screen, she saw two young children, a boy and a girl, standing on her porch in the pouring rain. Before she could even process their strange presence, she described an intense feeling of dread, a sense that she should not, under any circumstances, open the door. She watched them as they stood there, motionless, for nearly 10 minutes. Finally, she used the intercom feature. "Can I help you?" The boy looked directly into the camera lens and her blood ran cold. She saw the eyes, even on the grainy low-resolution screen. He said, "You need to let us in." This voice, flat and emotionless. "Our parents will be here soon." She cut the connection and did not answer again. They remained on her porch unmoving until just before dawn, when they simply turned and walked away into the darkness.
Another account, transcribed from an email sent to a paranormal researcher in 1999, details an encounter on a desolate road in Northern California. A man's car had broken down miles from the nearest town. As he was waiting for a tow truck, two boys emerged from the woods by the side of the road. They approached his window and politely asked for a ride. The driver, unnerved by their sudden appearance, instinctively kept his doors locked. He told them he was sorry, but his car was broken. The boys simply stared at him, their faces impassive. "That's not true," one of them said. "It will work if you let us in." The driver reported that as they spoke,
His initial fear was replaced by a strange, hypnotic desire to comply, to open the door. He said it took every ounce of his willpower to resist the urge. He closed his eyes and refused to look at them. When he opened them again, they were gone. A moment later, his car started on the third try. In the final analysis, the black-eyed children must be classified as a uniquely modern form of folklore. Unlike the ancient spirits tied to specific forests, mountains, or ruins, these entities are not bound to a place. They are bound to a threshold. And that threshold is almost always a feature of modern suburban life. The car door, the front porch, the apartment hallway. They are a product of our contemporary landscape. They are, in essence, a digital-age boogeyman, a story that bypasses traditional oral transmission and instead spreads with the speed and efficiency of a computer virus. The legend preys upon a distinctly modern set of anxieties. In an increasingly isolated and atomized society, the fear of the home invader, the malevolent stranger, is a potent one. The black-eyed children represent the ultimate evolution of this fear, a predator that has perfectly camouflaged itself as the one thing we are culturally conditioned to trust. They are a virus in the social code, a ghost in the machine of modern life, a terrifying reminder that even in our well-lit suburbs, the oldest rule still applies. Never, ever invite the darkness in.